pretty much this isn't good enough. So we pitch that, go back to this. So we pitch a Blossom, which it's between the Blossom and the Snapcaster. We just chose Blossom here. So he gets a good start here, DRC. So, and then we sleep Curse Faerie, this is exactly what we want. He then dashes a Ragavan, he swings. So this is like his best opening that he can have, pretty much. Probably get a Bobble here would be best too. But him to swing for 3 and then be able to get a treasure token and everything on this. That's it's pretty big for him and pretty bad for us. So he won't be able to do that for very many turns. We can handle the 1 hit off of Ragavan. He does take a Darkslick Shores away from us. So, and then he gets the mana and preordains. So the biggest thing with preordain right now being in Murktide is the fact that this is a sorcery and it adds sorcerer speed things to the graveyard for the Delirium on DRC. So it is this DRC Delirium used to not turn on until turn 3, turn 4 typically. Now DRC's Delirium can turn on turn 2, actually quite often, because of the added 4 sorceries and Liorn Revealed that they do play now. Now they have a plethora of ways to get a sorcery in card type into the graveyard. So it's just something we have to combat, something we have to think about, that this is going to bash for 3 more often than not. So he dashes, he goes back, we cast the Bitter Blossom. Like I said, we're playing an aggro list, so that's why we're seeing the Scion of Una in here. Alright, he then dashes the Ragavan again. So our defenses are still down, so we've taken a lot here. He preordains again with the extra mana. And then plays another Ragavan, sacking his first Ragavan. So, and by the creature going, this was actually a slick move by the that I didn't really consider. I've never seen a Murktide player do this before, to sack their own Ragavan to create Delirium on their DRC. Very interesting play. So anyway, we do have blocks here. He tries to bolt here. We Scion in response. He then counterspells in response to that. So he gets through again. We take 5. We're really down. We're hurting. So he then sees a Bowmasters and he can cast it. So we just concede here. There's nothing coming back from this. So we see the writing on the wall and we give up. We even have bad mana. Well, we do have the amount of mana to cast Cryptic with the Filter Land, but we're not happy where we're at right here, not at all. So this is a pretty aggressive start for Murktide, probably their best start. If I would have had 1 ounce of one removal spell, or even it's Bowmasters, we remove this or this, and we're kind of happy where we're at. We're probably at 10 life, 11 life, and we can win the game there. I mean, we have an active Bitter Blossom, active Sleepy come over here. He'll never be able to take this off the board. So we're happy where we're at. We just didn't draw the right card. So on to game 2. This game, this match does go 3 games, I do believe. So anyway, so we see 3 lands. We're playing Secluded Glen because we're playing like 15 or 17 fairies in this list because we're an aggro list. We have a bunch more removal. We got a Mutavault in here. We got a Sleep Curse, so we can do a bunch of things. So obviously we play first. We then reveal to Secluded Glen the Sleep Curse. Play the Sleep Curse. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone. He DRCs. He then bobbles. So this is really good for him. Pretty good start. It's more Murktide things. We then search. We Bowmasters to get that thing out of here. We don't even want it. We just main phase it. We don't even want him to do anything with it. Now, if he preordains here, we just kill his DRC. So we're super happy there. We then Faerie Fencing it away. And then we... I actually missed an attack here. It doesn't end up mattering. But I screwed up. So technically, through the rest of the game, he should have 2 less life than what he's showing. So fencing again, and then we attack. So DRC. We then fencing it again. This game is so much different is because we're getting all this removal, and it's what we were lacking the first game. If we would have drew into 1 or 2 removal spells, we would have been in the same position pretty much and been very happy to see. So, and we haven't even played our big boy Dolthy yet. So, all right, he plays Ragavan. We make him sack it. Goes back. So we're just holding the fort here. So we attack. So he should be at 3 here. He then Stern Scoldings our first Dolthy. We hold up, change the equation, and he powers in a Murktide. We obviously can't counter that with this, so we're kind of screwed on that front. So we try Dolthy again. He counterspells. We then change the equation. His counterspell. We don't attack into his Murktide. We just kind of stall the board because we know that this will get through next turn and we'll seal the deal. So he Ragavans. So we're all defensive up. All defense. We then Mutavault. We swing with everything. And we go from there. The reason why... one of the worst things that I found out is EE now hits. EE was basically put on 0 or 1 all the time, sometimes 2. But this will take Sleep Curse Faerie away now. So we have to be careful how we play this now. We can't just throw it on 1 and expect good things. So anyway, we get a concession from our opponent. So game 3. So nothing new on this matchup. Nothing crazy. Nothing we haven't seen before. So here we go. We got a 6-lander with a Orcish Bowmasters. Now this hand, it's bad, but it really depends. We're on the draw, so it really depends. If we get a Sleep Curse Faerie off the draw here. To be able to throw down that 1-drop. We're actually really, really happy here. Or even if we start getting gas, getting creatures, whatever. But in this particular case, I decided to go ahead and get away from this and just mold away. And we went to 6 because we are more an aggressive deck. If I was playing more of a control list to have a 6-mana hand, I would put more emphasis on keeping it. But because we're playing an aggro list, I'm going to play accordingly, and I'm going to aggressively mulligan. So here we go. This is a pretty good hand. So we throw that back, and he DRCs. One of the worst things about Faerie Fencing is you can't play it out of the gate. That's one of the there's only 2 real problems with this card. You can't play it out of the gate on turn 1 because we don't have a Faerie to make this basically a black lightning bolt. And also that it gets around indestructible, which is really nice. And it also doesn't, it's not a March of the Wretched Sorrow, which can hit planeswalkers and can gain life. So it is limited in that factor, but other than that, I love this card. This card's great. It's not a 4 of in your deck. Obviously, if you're playing a very high Faerie count, it can be great. But in situations like this, where, like, say this is a Ragavan, the best thing that you can do is land and kill the Ragavan here. And so we get into situations like this sometimes, and we're just not happy here. However, we do have a Dream Thief just to play and throw down to throw in front of this DRC and hope it gets there, kind of thing. So it's not like we're doing nothing on the board, but he just bolts it, which we're totally happy to let this thing eat a bolt. We're totally happy. So bolt for a 1/1 Faerie that's already done his thing with Surveil. So, and we get him to sack. We just want to clear the board. We want to be able to get mana. We want to get ahead. So Expressive Iteration's not that bad. So he then Ragavans. So had a choice here. Faerie Mastermind could have, Voidwalker, didn't have a Faerie, so can't Faerie Fencing. Or I misspoke there. Faerie Fencing, basically, we main phase that to get rid of the Ragavan right away. I could have just sat up there and blocked too. Or I could have put the EE on 1. Because really all his creatures are ones mana cost other than this. But I don't know. I'm finding that EE is harder to play with. Do I think it's still quality? Absolutely. Does it need? It needs to be in here for the Rhinos matchup for sure. But we have other issues. So then we just Sleepy Dolthy. We really want another land. Really do. So, and then he Furies. We get blown out here. Because we just don't have the hand to do it. This makes me wonder if I would have kept the original hand and just would have drawn into natural counterspell. We drew enough removal. Now he's obviously drawing very threat heavy because he's been through a Ragavan, he's been through a DRC, he's been through a Murktide and a Fury now. So he's super threat dense. And the fact that he's getting a Fury to be able to 2-for-1 us here is just bad. And now he's beating with a 7/7. We're just behind on all fronts. So we get our land. We then play our EE out of, because it's the only thing we can do. So obviously our things didn't go the way we wanted them to this game. He was able to overrun us. He was able to get everything going. I just didn't get enough interaction. And then I wasn't able to get any counter spells going off to have a counter war, because obviously he didn't draw any counter magic unless the card in his hand is a counter spell or some sort of counter. And then we just kind of block here, and then we lose. So we accept defeat. We're in these games. We just have to draw. We got to have a better starting hand than what I found there. Even if I would have kept the 6 lander, we're still wondering, whatever I'm going to draw into. So I can get rid of the first DRC, but he really didn't draw any cards. He drew one off the bauble, but he didn't really do much else this game. So we're not too. He did consider, I guess, and then he expressive iteration. So we have that, but the expressive iteration does not trigger the Orcish Bowmaster. So would it have worked out if I would have kept the first 7? Maybe. Will we ever know? We won't. But I'm not, even though he has this, if I have 1 kill spell, and he doesn't have a counter in hand, if I can bounce this Murktide, just bounce it, not even do anything else. I'm actually really not in that bad of a place, really not, because sleep curse is going to come off in a couple turns. If I bounce this with a brazen borrower, and then have counterspell back up to counter all the way back down, we're feeling pretty good. you know, because this won't come down for another couple turns until he can fill up his graveyard again. So anyway, that's a review. Just thought I'd share the Murktide matchup, how things can get out of hand quickly. Fury is a horrible Magic card and should be banned, but we all know that. So yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. Definitely subscribe, and I'll see you next time.